Today on the WEInvested podcast, we have Lorenzo Herman, and he is a financial professional at Thrivent and the founder of Triumphant. Lorenzo, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm looking forward to this one.
Hey, man, I appreciate you having me. It's an honor. I've been following WeInvested since you created it, right? It's been a pleasure to be here and talk shop and get you to learn more about what I do, how I'm trying to help the community, and learn more about things that you got going on. It's gonna be a good little time now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so before we get started, bro, would you mind letting the people know where they can find you on social media?
Absolutely. You can find me on Facebook, Lorenzo Herman. My business page is Lorenzo Herman Financial Advisor. Go ahead and follow me, friend me, follow me there. On Instagram, it's ZO underscore the show. Um, that is my personal page. That's where you can learn more about me, my family, my wife, my dog. I have two business pages. I have Be Triumphant. That is my personal training and financial health page. And then I have Wall Street on Bill Street. I'll drop the links before. Go ahead and follow me there, where we'll start uploading some content here and after the holiday season. It's all about financial and physical health. And I'm excited to expose some things in the market for you guys.
Man, that's amazing. So let's just jump right into it from the top,
Let's do
man.
it.
So, where are you from and where did you grow up?
Absolutely. Born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee. 901, baby. It's grit and grind, home of the blues, home of the best food you'll ever find on this planet, the best barbecue you've ever tasted. That's no offense to Texas and North Carolina. I'm just stating facts, so don't at me. But yeah, born and raised in Memphis. Spent my entire life here until I went to Campbell University. Me and West were classmates in North Carolina. Played football all throughout life. Was able to play in college. And my background is trust and wealth management, and my whole goal was to make sure that my community, people that look like me, people that look like you and my wife, had advantages that we didn't necessarily have or were abreast of when we were growing up. I'm a financial advisor. I'm at my Series 7, my Series 66. My background is in trust and wealth management, so estate planning and trust planning. I advise on those things with your attorney, and I'm just trying to help people be the best they can be on a financial basis, on a health basis, their fitness. I feel like I'm a renaissance man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's amazing, brother. And one of the things I can definitely say about you, man, is like, like you mentioned earlier, we went to college together at Campbell University. And when I first met you, you were always focused. You were always determined. You always had a plan, and that was something I admired about you for sure. And
Appreciate that.
another tip or another thing too, man, interesting fact. You were the first person I ever met that was investing. You
That's
know, I
crazy.
Yeah, the first person ever in my life, bro. I remember you told me that you opened an account with Betterment and you started an
Yep.
IRA account. And I'm
Yeah.
just at the time I was so green to it. I'm just kind of looking at you like, man, I don't even know what he really talking about. But yeah, man, I gotta give you your flowers for that, bro. You're the first person I ever met that was investing, so I appreciate, you for sharing that game with me back then.
Hey man, that's crazy. Because when we look back at that time, we think about investing now, or we thought about investing in, like, man, how in the heck are we getting into this? Like, how do you start? Like, where? Like, we learn about stocks, we learn about mutual funds, we learn about the market, but it wasn't implicit on it. Okay, how do I do this? Right? I see these tickers going across the screen in green and red letters and numbers. How? Robo advisors, right? Betterment, Wealthfront, Acorns. Now you have Robinhood, you got Coinbase, platforms to where you can dabble in investing. And that's what I use dabble very seriously, because it's when you're doing on that scale, you are learning, right? And that's the whole purpose, right? You start off at 21 years old. You put in as a college student, you may be broke, you may not, but you put in what you can, and you just let it go with the market, right? It's these places, they send out prospectus, right? We talk about prospectus in class, but it's like terms and conditions. Press
Exactly.
X, we don't reading it. Hey, make money, right? So from that point, you have to just have an understanding of, well, I need to start making smarter decisions, and okay, how do I start? Find something to start in, right? It doesn't matter. Talk to people, right? We had a conversation about betterment. I remember I was sending out the promo links for Acorns. You sign up, get $25 into your account. Man, I was just doing that because I knew that, people want to know. We were in the class. Why not? Right. At that point, it's a decision that you got to make. And it just goes from there. So the barriers of entry um, are lower, far lower than what they used to be. And, that was just, I just thought, hey, thank you for giving my flowers. I appreciate it, man.
Exactly, man. I definitely had to tip my hat to you. But how would you say that growing up in Memphis impacted your outlook on the world and success?
How will growing up in Memphis impact my view on success? Man, growing up in Memphis, well, I can only speak about my individual experience, but things were a grind, right? I watched both my parents work jobs, right? Work careers. They worked for the post office. I saw my mom retire early, right? I'm helping my father navigate through his retirement. I saw them raise two children, me and my sister, get us through college, right? I was always in a state where I thought, I mean, just being frank, I always thought that we were one step away from financial ruin, right? I didn't, that was just my understanding of what it was. Why? Because I would see my mom, she worked nights. She would always wake up in a frantic trying to get to work. And I'm thinking, oh, she's late, then she'll lose her job. And that was just coming from a child's mind, but those were some of the things. But when I look back, I always had money for lunch. Like my parents were able to give me $20 a day in high school to go get lunch, breakfast, breakfast and lunch, and something on the way home. I was able to have a car, right? I had more. I had two cars in high school, right? I had my Buick and then my expedition that I took on to college. So I never went without, but my parents instilled in me, hey, you got to get after it, or you should never be too comfortable with where you are. Otherwise, you get behind. And how I look at success now based on that is you have to grind, right? You have to go after. You have to hit the pavement day in and day out and get things done. I'm not a proponent of, hey, looking at the finish line. Yeah, the finish line is there, but I need to be giving full effort on the next step. Um, Being in Memphis, you got a lot of hard workers. Yeah, it's a predominantly black city, so um, you see a lot of people that look like us, that look like our parents, our grandparents, working hard, and then the success stories that you see, you want to be like them and learn as much as you can. But then you see a lot of I don't want to say failures, but you see a lot of heartbreak and heartache. People having to go back to work or not even reaching it, or they dying early and not having life insurance. So you see a lot of GoFundMe funerals in the city. Every bit of that is motivation to do better, so you can revitalize the city, right? It's one of the main reasons I moved back from LA. I wanted to make sure that success needs to be something that was repeatable, and that boys and girls, parents can look back and say, that is what success looks like for me. And I want to reach that. How can I do that? And that's the mindset I take when it comes to my point of view, growing up in Memphis on success. You gotta grind for it, and you gotta have a plan and run towards it.
No, that's incredible, man. And I definitely think that's a great story, and a great upbringing just to really know and understand the value of hard work and to really carry it on with you in these different phases throughout life. But something that I kind of wanted to talk about and mention on for people who may not really be aware, what is a financial professional?
Absolutely. So, financial professional, financial advisor, financial coach, whatever you want to say, those are blanket statements, right? Those are very blanket statements. So I'll leave you with these. There's 5 criteria that you want to look for a financial advisor, or someone that you're going to pay for service. One, what are their certifications? All right. If you go on brokercheck.com, that is our Bible. That's our yellow pages of true certified advisors. Your Series 6, your series 7, your series 66, 65, 63, series 1 through 1000, right? I'm a series 7 and 66 certified professional, meaning not only can I talk about and recommend investments and secure those for you, right? Individual stocks and mutual funds, but also have that 66, which allows me to get a fee for financial planning, right? I can get paid for advice. Not for every financial advisor or professional is like that. So you have to do your research and figure out what they're legally able to do and get done for you, right? Because at the end of the day, I can be a financial coach and just provide free information I'm getting from Investopedia and still call myself a financial professional, but I won't be able to invest on your behalf, or I won't be able to recommend stocks on your behalf, or I won't be able to broker things for you on your behalf. I can just provide information. So I'm licensed, I'm certified. Um, some other titles that you want to look for. If you are looking for someone to manage estate planning or that type of expertise and that certification, you got the CTFA, which is the Certified Trust and Fiduciary uh, certification. You have the CFP, which is our holy grail, which is the Certified Financial Planner. And then you have the CFA, which is the Chartered Financial Analyst. Um, all of these titles simply require you to pass a test, have experience. But before you can even be recommended as a financial advisor, you want to find someone who has their 7 and 66. So you know not only can they give you information, but they can take your individual situation, your individual status, and recommend things for you individually. And that's what I do. Right? I'm certified through Thriving, and that's my role.
No, that's amazing, brother. And you mentioned these different series and these different certifications that you have to have in order to be able to take fees and to be able to help people and to be able to uh make recommendations for them. So can you talk a little bit about like, the journey that it took to get there, just as far as, the certification wise, like maybe what it was like studying for it and maybe some of the emotions that you felt too once, you successfully completed these certifications.
Yeah, yeah, man. It's a grind, man. It really is, because when you think about it, before a firm will bring you on as a broker, right? That's that overarching place that's going to provide you funding, right? Your wheelhouse. Um, Before you can be considered an advisor with a firm, they're going to require you to take these tests, right? And here's the thing: you can interview with the best of them, but if you can't pass the test and get certified, they're going to send you on your way, right? Especially when you are in a situation where they're going to pay you to study. Right? Thrive had paid me to study. So when I resigned Comerica Bank and Trust as a trust advisor to start my career as a financial advisor, I knew that I couldn't. I mean, when I resigned, I went into study mode. Like my full-time job was to study at that point. And this, if you ask any financial advisor in this country that taken the Series 7, whether it's old school advisors that took it in the early 2000s or in the 90s or 80s, or senior advisors or someone that just took it now, it's no joke. And the training courses I was in, I was literally spending 8+ hours a day studying for that exam, because I knew I had a month and a half to get right. And I was fortunate enough, because I had the background in trust and wealth management, that it was more of a refresher than anything. But just getting all the information down like that, to where you don't waste time on the test. You can get through the study guides and practice test and get and be ready and ease and ready to go. And on test day, that was a grind. And then the 66, which I took 3 weeks after the 7, which here's a little information. Most advisors, or at least the one, I'm not gonna say most advisors, but this is purely anecdotal. But the advisors I talked to, the 66 was the one that kicks you in the teeth, right? Because you had to get 1% higher on that one. You had to get 73%, and it's the one where you're on the high of passing the 7. You think you can coast, but no, it's even more detailed, right? Like it's even more detailed. So you may run into some advisors that have taken the 66 and failed it, and end up taking the 63 and the 65, which I was able to pass the 7 and the 66 in one try. That's the shameless plug, just letting you know I'm good at taking tests. I'm good at what I do. But both of those two tests were my entry exam, right? If I didn't pass those exams, I couldn't go on further, and then that was gonna put me in a really bad situation. To all right, what's next? So those two tests were definitely what had to be done, and then you had the life and health exam, which if you're curious in becoming a life or health insurance producer, you take that exam in your state. It's 2, and I was able to take that on my lunch break when I was at Comerica. So just it's basic information that's out there and ready for you to consume. It's just, are you going to dedicate the time to become a professional and expert on on that type of topic of information?
Yeah, man, and I feel like that's something that separates the people that are just on social media talking about money or talking
Mm,
about investing or whatever versus the people that really took the time out to get the education behind it and to take these certifications to
absolutely.
um, I feel like it just solidifies that and it puts them in a different league, so to speak.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna segue or piggyback on that and say, man, it's a wild west out there on social media, right?
Mhm.
We were talking about, I mentioned the Wall Street Trapper earlier and said, his information is pretty good when it comes to some of the things that he does on his platform, but he's not registered, he's not licensed, and here's where the difference comes. I can't make blanket recommendations. I can't just be on social media and say, man, look, um, here's the key to having 17% return on your investment in your portfolio. Here's the stocks that you need to be buying. I can't legally do that. No one who is registered and that's truly a financial professional can do those things, because it's market manipulation. It goes against every broker dealer's policy, and it'll get you in a lot of trouble. Because imagine if I had 1 million followers and I told them, man, look, you guys, every single one of you need to be in a ultra aggressive mutual fund, and here are the mutual funds I recommend. And people start doing it, and someone puts their entire retirement on that, and something happens, I'll be liable for that, right? I'll be liable for that, because I am a I am a professional. I am someone that is seen as a I have to hold a higher standard to keep you guys, to make sure that you're making smart decisions. And I can't make blanket statements without knowing your income, your debt, your what are the things that you're doing to prepare for retirement. Or have you been retired? Have you been focused on retirement now? What's your 401k? Your matching, your tax bracket. What do you want to do in retirement, or what do you want to do with this investment? What's your risk tolerance? Are you protected? Right? There's so many questions that I have to dig out before I can even start making recommendations. That you have to I look at social media as a double-edged sword. You can get a lot of great information, but then you can start making terrible decisions. And that's where I stand. It's difficult. It's difficult. It's grassroots. It's not sexy to say, hey, start investing based on your risk tolerance, and um, dollar cost average. Just keep putting it in and focus on making sure you're having a good time at work. Right? That's not sexy, but financial stability is not supposed to be sexy. Right? It's not supposed to be hyped. It's not supposed to be glamorized. It's supposed to be the expectation, and that's what I'm trying to teach and instill with my clients.
No, for sure, man. And I definitely think that's a great way to put it. It's not supposed to be sexy, it's just supposed to be an expectation. Um, yeah, man, I agree with that 1000%. But, you know, how did you get started in the financial service industry? Like, where did that spark come from? Where did that interest come from to get you started and get you going?
Great question, big dog. Um, Remember ESPN had that 30 for 30?
Hmm.
And it was like they when it first came out, they were doing 30 documentaries by 30 different directors on 30 different sports topics. It's completely expanded since then. But man, the one that piqued my interest, I was in high school, was called Broke. Right. As a football player, as someone who just knew he was going to the NFL, man, I was entrenched, right? And then I learned that Michael Vick, who had the highest contract at his time at the peak of his career, went bankrupt. I think he went bankrupt twice. You look at different athletes that you see $100 million deals. You see $50 million contracts. You see the rappers having all this flexing on this money and things like that, and they retire and it's gone. Like it's over with. Like you filed for bankruptcy, homeless. Man, one of the guys that was on that program, I just saw earlier this year died of a fentanyl overdose. Right, he retired and he struggled with addiction um, to the end of his career. And I promised myself and the people around me that we'll never be in that situation because I got us. I went to Campbell specifically for that program because I knew I wanted to be specialized, and I went out to LA to make sure I wanted to learn from some of the biggest markets I can learn from on the West Coast. Why not? Right? The sun never sets on sunny California. Right? I love Long Beach, and then I came back home to Memphis, Tennessee, to grow my practice because I wanted to start having conversations in my community to further their financial information so they can never be in a situation where Big Mama don't got to sell her house, where Unc can retire and see his kids, where your parents can retire and enjoy and come to football games, go to basketball games, see their grandchildren walk across the stage, travel, right? And then set again selfishly, make sure my family is set up and make sure that they can do those same things in an easier way, a more effective way as they were doing it without. So that's how I got into it. And I love it. Right? It's something that we talk about the wealth gap. We talk about financial freedom, especially. We talk about Black Wall Street and who's going to restart that and how. Well, Wall Street can be in your pocket. Wall Street can be in your community, at your local bank. You just have to galvanize the troops and figure out, hey, what's my foundation? How do I solidify that foundation and build upon it? It's simple. It's simple. I didn't say it was going to be easy, but it's simple. You just have to start having those conversations.
For sure, man. And that's something that's like a common theme that I'm hearing throughout, your messaging throughout this interview is that, your focus has been a lot of, giving back to the community, helping the community. And just to kind of piggyback off of, you helping your community, you held a recent event, a virtual event called From Me to We.
Yes.
So what was the vision behind that event?
Yeah, the vision was clear, man. I'm a recently married man. Hit 1 year a couple of weeks ago, and me and my wife. I mean, we've been together since we were in high school. So the conversations that we have been having leading up to our wedding were profound. We were fortunate enough to be able to go to marriage counseling and therapy, right? We were fortunate enough to have me as a individual who's registered and licensed to guide us through how do we marry our finances because things are going to change, right? How do you marry two different households into one, right? How I grew up wasn't the same as how my wife grew up, right? My view on money isn't the same as my wife's view on money, right? And on debt, working, retirement, travel, we have different ideas, we have different values, we have different outlooks and points of view and perspective. Well, if we're going to be doing this and walk into holy matrimony, we need to make sure that when we have those conversations, that we just do this and not rip apart. Most people rip apart. And when I say most people, divorce is divorce is around 50 to 51% in America. And number one is infidelity. Number two is financial, right? Financial misunderstandings. And that's major because that's a lack of communication leading up to your big day. And then it's a failure to communicate after the big day. So how do I arm couples to be ready for that? Because one, I don't want you getting divorced. And two, I want couples to be clients of mine because that's how you create that generational wealth. So I hosted this event on Zoom. Um, I had around 5 couples on it. It's COVID, so I understand, but it's a series that I'm launching. So these will be all throughout 2022. Man, you're engaged. Congratulations. How you guys paying for the wedding? Because that's the first biggest purchase that a couple is going to make together, paying for their wedding. Me and my wife, we paid for our wedding by ourselves. What do we ask for gifts? Well, instead of asking for gifts, we ask for cash for a down payment of the house, right? We're just we were making forward thinking decisions. How do you navigate talking about differences in credit score, right? You may be 740, your husband may be 505 and in extreme debt, right? You may have student loans and plan on paying them off. Your husband might not have any. He may be debt free. How do you talk about that? One may be prepared for being investment ready and investment savvy and want to do outside things. Your wife may want to be a homemaker, right? Who's going to stay home with the kids? How many kids do you want to have? When do you want to start planning? All of that is a conversation that ultimately equates on dollars and how you view them. So putting people in a position where, all right, it's safe. It's safe to talk about money. It's safe to talk about, um, it's safe to review your documents with your significant other, right? You're in it for the long run. We say marriage and being in relationships or partnerships, they're businesses. Well, you have to treat that like a business. A business that doesn't check the books is a business that's going to fail. A marriage or a relationship that doesn't check the books is one that's going to be destined to fail. Open them things up, be open, be honest, be transparent. And that was what we were doing. And at the end, if you have questions, which they did, let's set up time, let's go deeper, because then I can get a better understanding of what you guys may need individually to make sure that when you are walking past that day, it's already clear.
No, man, and I think nah, man, I just think that's remarkable because I don't hear a lot of people talking about that. You hear people on social media and wherever else just talking about invest and buy stocks and do this with your money and do that. This is how you grow it. But not a lot of people talk about the couples aspect of it and
Right.
how to successfully maneuver money. Because you're right. One person may feel comfortable talking about their finances and another person in that same relationship may have never talked about it before and may view it as taboo.
Right.
So I feel like that's a really important topic to discuss. And I think it's amazing that it's something that you're bringing awareness to get people to even think about it, because
Thank you.
a lot of people don't. Yeah, man, a lot of people just don't grow up hearing that kind of knowledge. So it's like now you're introducing it to them. So okay, now they see the importance of it.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, man. And so just another recent post that I saw. You mentioned that your mission for 2022 is to guide 100 people to a successful retirement. So,
Yes.
what exactly does that mean to you, and how do you plan to accomplish that goal or that mission?
Yeah, man. I'm looking for a name. I'm thinking about calling it Project 100. Just keeping it simple, and keeping it. That's easy, right? It's easy to market and understand. Um, but to get to your question, yes, what does that mean to me? Well, it means to me that when you are ready for retirement, and retirement is a blanket word too, because retirement can mean so much to anyone. So it's getting 100 people to express what does retirement mean to them, get them to understand, okay, you know what retirement means to you. What does it look like for you? When do you want to get there? And what will it take to get there? And the last one, what does it take to keep me there? Right. And that last one is one that I don't think a lot of people really think about. Right. A recent study I was reading on CSNBC that 2/3 of Americans are overconfident and overstate their readiness for retirement, right? Um, and half of those people that 2/3, when asked, do they feel like they are adequately saving for retirement, they say no. So you're like that's a it's oxymoronic where I think I'm okay. I know I'm good. I'm good. I'm okay. I'm not doing enough. So how do we break down, right? Having conversations with 100 people that get them on track to be ready for retirement always starts with just a conversation of what does retirement mean for you and what are you doing now? Are you just investing in your 401k? Are you just investing in your Roth? Are you looking at other avenues to reduce your tax burden in retirement, right? Do you want to work until 70, right? Do you understand that how the laws may change? And my vision, my mission is I want to have that, I want to successfully guide 100 people to the point where I know that at X, Y, and Z date, I can turn in my resignation, I can turn in my retirement card and say, hey, I'm good, right? I want to, and a portion of that 100, I want them to be able to tangibly retire by the end of 2022 or early 2023. So the whole goal is to have the conversation, look at what you got going on now, and figure out where are the gaps that get you to where you need to be so you can say, oh, yeah, I'm confidently on track for retirement. And I can tell you 1 through 3, A, B, C, A through Z, what's going on for their retirement, because a lot of people can't do that.
No, for sure, man. And this is like another common theme that I'm seeing throughout right now, is that you're tackling some big initiatives, which I think is amazing. A lot of people are maybe, and not to down talk anybody, but I just see a lot of people going for uh I don't want to say low hanging fruit, but like going for the smaller things, if that makes sense. But
Mhm.
just to see you attacking things such as like marriages and relationships and how to manage your money here. And now we're talking about retirement, making sure, I guess it just shows the thinking and the type of person. It just kind of speaks to the type of person that you've always been. Like, always thinking about the future and planning for the future. It's like I said, man, we
Absolutely.
were like 19, 20 years old, and you already figured out how to get invested, how to get into the market. So yeah, man, I really feel like that just speaks to the type of person that you are. Um, and something that I think is interesting too, and I think the listeners will find it interesting. You mentioned that you're from Memphis. You're growing your practice right now in Memphis, but you also spent some time out in LA on the West Coast, just learning and kind of getting involved more, and building a really solid foundation out there. So, can you just talk a little bit more about your time in LA and what you learned and what experiences you got from that?
Absolutely. So I started my career. Some of the listeners may this may cause you to cringe, it may not, but it's just a lay of the land. But I started my career as a fiduciary administrator at Wells Fargo Bank. Right. I wasn't in the branch. Most people didn't even know I existed outside of my clients. I was in a tower dealing with financial advisors and their trust clients. Um, that's what I was prepared to. That's what I've been trained to. That's where I got my education on. When we talk about trust fund babies and having their money managed and making sure that they're not on the street, that is what I was doing. Right? They'd call me. Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do that? Can I do this? Um, can you fix this? Right? I was a fixer. I was a certain. I tell people all the time. Uh, I was a financial firefighter. Right? How do I fight this fire for you? And I want to be more client facing because I want to be more than just a name on a statement. I want to be more than just um, a man on the phone. Right? I want to be able to have conversations with you. I want to make sure that okay, you need $5,000 because you are late on 5 bills. I want to make sure that that doesn't happen to you, so you can save that $5,000 and do something else with it. So I resigned and I went from Long Beach, California, right downtown Long Beach. Shout out to Snoop. Shout out to Long Beach Polytech Jackrabbits. I had some affiliation with their youth football program, so they always in my heart. But I ended up getting a role at City National Bank in LA. Now, fun fact: me and my wife Brianna were just watching Think Like a Man last night, and it was filmed in LA, and you can see City National Bank in the skyline on a lot of movies, whether it's Think Like a Man. Let me see. Let me think about some others. Dexter, the Versace movies. Not Versace movie, but the Versace American Crime Story. You can see, so it's the Bank of the Stars, right? Like it's two black buildings, Paul Hastings City National Bank, and I was up there, and I was more client facing doing the same thing, but they were paying me more, and I had more higher state clientele, and and then I was like, yeah, I was learning from CEOs. I was learning from senior trust managers, senior financial advisors, right? We were having, we were wine and dining clients, learning how to maneuver and prospect and have those conversations. And the biggest thing that I learned was it doesn't matter where you're from. People will open up to you if they like you, respect you, and they're comfortable with you. Um, if you're comfortable and you can tear down that wall so we can start talking candidly. That'll take you so much further than regurgitating everything you learned from Wharton Law School or Harvard Business School or Pepperdine. We get it, right? You don't. I learned early that you don't have to do things um, to get validation, right? You're in the room. I don't have to tell you why I'm in the room. I'm in the room. You in the room. Obviously we need to be having a conversation about something that you got a question on, right? And that's why I'm here. Y'all don't have to defend why I'm here. So I learned that out there, and it's different when you can be like people think I'm a country boy. Some other people think I'm a ghetto boy coming from Memphis, right? I'm Lorenzo. So learning how to be me in that setting was probably another thing that I took away. And then something tangible, right? LA and our taxes, astronomical, right? How do you? So I had to get abreast of having those tax conversations with people, um, figuring out real estate, right? A home in Memphis, it would be probably almost close to $500,000 in downtown LA. How do you navigate that? So I'm able to have those experiences, right? Orange County versus LA County versus being in SoCal, or NorCal and SoCal, where are the differences, right? How does the economy and the thought processes in California, how does that affect Tennessee, whose um, political um, political arrangements are different, right? You learn how to advise in a very blue state. You learn how to advise in a very red state, in a blue city, right? All those things play a part of how you actually bring it to the table, and you meet more people. You meet different types of people, and you become more interesting, right? You have a story to tell. You have experiences to talk about. Um, all of those things play a big part of learning that I use in my practice today.
No, that's amazing, man. And I remember, coming down to Long Beach and getting a chance to spend that time with you. And it's
Yeah,
crazy that you mentioned that City National Bank, because I actually forgot that you went out to LA. So it's like, man, these experiences that you have, they're priceless,
right.
and like you said, they're definitely interesting to hear about and cool stories. And but it's just the experience that you get with different clients and different client types, different financial climates. So, I feel like that's a really important part of your story, and it just it helps build to that narrative.
Thank you, thank you. It's the story, the book that you're writing, right? Everything you do is a chapter. And if you can't, you got to be able to leave the nest and actually add to those chapters, right? A lot of people just they grow up, they stay in their hometown. And chapter one is chapter two, and that's the end. Like the epilogue, the prologue, the table of contents, it's all in this one place. When you have the ability to branch out, when you have the ability to recall relationships that you built in North Carolina, recall relationships you built in Connecticut, you built in Los Angeles, Vegas, right? Nevada, being able to have clientele. I have clientele in Washington State. Um, you know, I can attest to being on you being in Washington yourself, right? You pull from different experiences because all of that makes you more. Um, it brings it. Yeah, this he isn't just some advisor. This is a friend of mine, right? This is a partner of mine. This is someone who I introduced to my significant other, my peoples, my parents, right? He gets it. He's been around. He's experienced some things. You know, he he's not just plastic, right? And all of that humanizes your advisor. And I want to make sure that people know, man, we're the same. I just help you with your finances.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, how would you define success as an entrepreneur?
Success as an entrepreneur, I define it as, man, you made it to the next day. You made it to the next month. You made it to the next year. Um, Man, it's a Under Armour. Under Armour has a podcast that they sponsor called "The Only Way Out Is Through." And as an entrepreneur who's building their practice, who, man, if I, the expression is you eat what you kill. My business, hey, if I'm not securing business, I don't get paid. So I'm out there prospecting, right? So the fact that I'm able to get to the next week, I'm able to get to the next month, I'm able to get to the next year, that's what defines success for me. And how do you actually quantify that is you figure out how much money do you need coming in to make it, right? Once you know how much money you need to come in, right, that's your basic expenses, whereas rent, mortgage, your insurances, your savings, right, making sure that you're comfortable, then everything above that goes into the business, right? It might pay for my certifications, my recertifications. It may pay for my marketing. Eventually, it's going to pay for my staff, right? Um, Ads, anything above that dollar amount that I need to have to make sure my bills are paid, man, that's where we go. And that's success for me, right? I need to make sure that every day, yeah, I can get to day two, I can get to week three, I can get to year three, I can get to year four, year five, and making sure the numbers make sense, getting to that point. So if I'm able to say, yeah, all right, my book of business is healthy, my prospects are healthy, then I'm being successful. I'm getting people in, they're being happy, I'm being successful. Um, if one of my clients hit the lottery and they need to manage um, a couple of $100 million, that's success. If I get you life insurance and then you pass away at the end of the year, and now your family has generational wealth to not only bury you, but to pay off all your debts and then have time to grieve, that relationship was successful because now you can look back and say, this is what that was for. If you retire, when you said that you want to retire, you can retire early. I was being successful. So that's how I tie in personal success and then success on my business. And all that plays a part of
No, that's awesome, brother. That's awesome. So, what would you say is the most important reason for your success?
it. Man, I'd say I'm not successful yet. I say that, man, the moment that I feel that I'm being successful um, will be the moment that I can go outside and I know that when I look at someone, I know that they're armed with everything they need to be armed with to be financially strong and successful. I know that when I'm seeing people, when I never see another GoFundMe funeral on social media, I know I've been successful. When I see on Facebook someone saying uh, when they're making posts about, hey, my investment portfolio is robust because I'm learning so much things, and thank you, Lorenzo. I know I'm being successful. Um, and you know what? That's a everyday, every year, every moment quest that I'm going on that I know I'll never reach. So when it comes to um, me being successful, I just say that I'm not there yet because I know there's so much more work to be done. I have a good book of business. I'm partnering with churches and schools in the city that I'm happy to do. Um, in January 8th, I'm partnering with one of my former teammates from Sports Life United. We're doing a college planning seminar for student athletes and their parents so they can be successful in their endeavors in college athletics and getting to that point, right? Getting prepared for ACT SAT, saving for college, investing for college, but preparing them for the tools that I wish I had when I was growing up as a student athlete, right? Doing those, the media we workshops. Those are things that I think are successful events that will lead to me feeling successful. But the reason why I'm putting those on is because I need to make sure that people are being armed with the information because I know there's so much that to be done. Um, and when I'm helping the community, I feel good. I feel that's when I'm being successful, and that's what can equate. Being able to be out there in the community and say, hey, you know, I learned something from Lorenzo today. He's giving back. Um, whenever someone says, "Man, you got to go talk to that cat," that's what makes me feel successful. And anything beyond that, that's just another day at the office.
How would you like for people to remember you and your companies?
I want them to remember, dang man, he made an impact. He made an impact. Like and I want it to be generational impact. I want your grandmother. I want your parents and your aunts and uncles, and I want your children and your children's children to say, man, Lorenzo was good. He helped me so much, right? I wanted to trickle down and up generations and say when I was going through a hard time, he was there, right? When I needed some guidance on um, when I needed guidance on going through my divorce and how I was going to navigate that, he was there, right? Um, I wanted to start a business and I had no clue where to start or how to build that foundation. He was there. Um, Being able to take care of my employees, he was there, and he walked his he talked very little, but when he talked, it meant something, and he walked his talk better than anyone can. And that's what I want to be remembered for. I want to be remembered for being making those type of impacts for people.
No, that's amazing, brother. That's awesome. So, what does the future look like for you?
Man, the future looks like individually as Lorenzo, man, we're trying to start a family, right? So figuring out, man, when we're gonna put a date on trying to have a child. That's what's next. I'm looking to expand into a few more states. I'm looking at Georgia. I'm looking at Kentucky. I'm looking at Arkansas to get registered because I want to. If I can build a coalition in the South as I'm building on the West Coast and the East Coast, I'm growing the right way. Um, we got the Project 100 for 2022. My goal is I'm gonna have 2 to 3 workshops a month, right? That's one almost every weekend, right? That's what I'm trying to get done, and just flood people with information, and be a subject matter expert for people to come talk to. Um, my business, I'm looking to hire an office professional, an assistant, and I'm also trying. And one thing I haven't touched base on, but we need more Black advisors, man. We need more Black advisors. So I want to encourage everyone that hears this podcast. If you have questions or ambitions to become a financial advisor, financial planner, and you're like, where do I start? Do I want to work at a bank? Do I want to work at a big firm? Do I want to work independently? Man, reach out to me. And I love guiding young brothers and young sisters to the industry because it's fulfilling, right? If you're coming from a great place, it's fulfilling. So, hey, I'm looking to hire. So if you're interested, give me a shout and let's talk about it. But that's what future looks for me because when I get to it, it's gonna get to the point where I want to be able to cultivate the relationships to make my community successful. I look at Memphis as the project that I'm looking for, right? How do I revitalize and make sure that Memphis is financially strong? How do I make sure that people in Memphis are being able to retire? How do I make sure people in Memphis can go to school? Are reinvesting in their communities, right? Because I know if I own you with the tools and the resources to get to your purpose, then you're more likely to reinvest into your community because you have abundance now. So That's my future. That's what I'm looking forward to do. In the short term, the Project 100 is that's next. That's right now.
That's awesome, man. Lorenzo, thank you so much for your time today, brother. I always enjoy talking to you. And
Absolutely.
your mindset is it's contagious, man. Every time and it's been like this for the past 5 or 6 years though, bro. But every time I talk to you, man, I feel inspired, bro. So,
Yeah.
I appreciate that. But before I let you go, before we get out of here, at the end of every podcast, we like to play a rapid fire question game where I ask you 3 questions. So if you're willing to play, I'll go ahead and ask.
Come on, I'm ready, baby. Rapid fire.
Yeah. So look, where's your favorite place to travel?
LA.
LA. Why LA?
Man, the weather's perfect. We lived there, but it was so much that we didn't get to do that I wish we did though. And knowing that we have family and friends there, man, every time we go, it's always a great experience. Man, Roscoe's is fire. Um, going to Griffith Park, exercising is fire. Going to Laguna Beach, Shaw's Cove, all of it is great. And uh, you know how it is, baby.
Yeah, yeah, my guy. All right, question number 2. What song represents your life the most?
Man, Brink Struck by Ray Shrim. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why, man. I was, and this just a humble brag because it's some. I look at my life as something. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not some mogul. I'm Lorenzo, right? I'm your local financial professional. I got a life too. When I got my first 6-figure um, offer, man, the only thing I could hear was back of the brings truck. I'm young, hot. Oh, you know what I'm saying?
My
That's
boy.
that's it, man. So I'm telling you, man. I can have a great time. That's it. Brink truck.
Yeah, that's hard, bro. And look, final question. What's an amazing thing that you did that no one was around to see?
Amazing thing I did that no one else was able to see. I was able to. I'm gonna use something personal because it took a lot to get done. Um, I was able to set up my parents. I'm in the process of retiring and optimizing my parents. Um, my siblings, they're not really abreast of what's going on. Uh, my parents really weren't abreast on what was going on. And I said, I'm going to start having conversations leading up to this point to make sure that everything is placed that my dad can retire earlier than he wanted. And that was the precursor to Project 100, right? I got some partnerships that I'm working on now with some churches that they didn't have they saw the vision, but they didn't understand the underworkings of, okay, so what's the purpose? So that's when I'm in the lab, I'm thinking about those 100 people. And I'm like that post that I made a couple of hours ago. That was the first time my platform was able to see what I was trying to do, and it took it was some years in the make to launch it, but I'm excited about it, and I'm running away with it.
Man, that's awesome. Lorenzo, thank you so much, brother. This was a great interview, man. I know the people will love it.
Wes, I appreciate you, man. Hey, look, tune in. Hey, the We Invested podcast. Follow it on all the streamers, right? You got your podcast on your iPhone. Follow them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of them. Go follow my guy, man. He's flooding y'all. Wes, I appreciate you.
Hey man, thank you, brother. And yeah, man, shout out to Memphis too. I rock with Memphis. You had me out there, told me to go get some barbecue sandwiches, man. So I gotta say, rest in peace, Dolph too. Memphis lit for real though.
Hey man, and then my last thing, if any viewer has a question on how to become purposeful with their investing, purposeful in making it and looking at money as a tool, and need some form of guidance, reach out to me. I'm available. You can give me a call at 901-305-7785. My email address is lorenzo.herman@thriveit.com. And I'll, Wes put that in the chat so they can see it. Whether you're a baby boomer or Gen X, Gen Z, New Age, if you have questions and then you want to ask a licensed financial professional who is open to offer some guidance, reach out and let's have a conversation. I'm open to all.
That's amazing, man. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, man.